Everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. So October is filled with all sorts of different kind of awareness month, awareness days, appreciation days, and one specifically that hits home to us that I've never talked about on YouTube is pregnancy and infant loss awareness. October 15th specifically was the National Pregnancy Loss, Infant Loss Awareness Day, and I wanted to sit down and do a video specifically on our miscarriage story. Before we knew what YouTube was, Andrew would take random pictures and videos of me and us. He would act like he was taking a picture, but really he was taking a video, and he got me every time. And so he did this during that process, and looking back at old photos and videos, I found some pictures and videos that captured that moment. They're not the most flattering of me, but I want to document those in here as well, just because they were raw in the moment of how we felt and how we looked and what we were going through. So I will pop some of those. It's maybe like two videos and a picture or something through this video as well. Now, our story specifically takes place in 2012. At that point, we had been married for 3 years, and we decided it was time to start a family. At this point, I had never tracked my cycle. I had no clue when I was ovulating, what that even looked like. So going into trying to get pregnant, I did two things. One, I just assumed based off my research that I might be a normal 28-day cycle person. So I counted out what that looks like. I saw what days that I would be ovulating. I'm an accountant. I plan everything out. So I printed out a calendar. I wrote down everything. I hung it on my medicine cabinet, and I showed Andrew, these are the days that we will try. Second thing I did is I decided to do the basal temperature. I think that's what it's called. You get a specific thermometer, and every morning when you wake up, before you get out of bed or do anything, you take your temperature and then you write it down. And then over the course of the month, you track it out. And on the days that you ovulate, I think it fluctuates, it goes up. If you're pregnant, it stays elevated or it drops. It does something. Where the point is, if you track it over a couple of months and you lay it out on a chart, you should see some sort of pattern each month, and you should be able to peg, okay, this time of the month is when I ovulate, and you would know when you're most fertile. So I did both of those simultaneously, and I happened to be a normal 28-day cycle because first try we got pregnant. Now, we were super excited, but at the same time I was super nervous because I expected this to be a little bit longer of a process, and it wasn't, and we were pregnant first try.
Hey, little baby Kozlowski, you're in there somewhere. Mommy's just hanging out. Say hi. This is for your child when they're later in life. As you can see, she is extraordinarily happy. She's not tired nor sick. She's about 6 weeks along. Jen's 27, I'm 26. Baby number 1. Look at how excited she is.
Honey, this is dumb.
Yeah. It's
You
not
just
going to
got
be
a new
dumb.
phone and you just want to play with it.
No, this is for our
At my
child.
expense.
This is not at your expense.
It
This
is.
is for our child.
You're never going to download it.
We love you, child. We love you, child.
Now, that Sunday before my appointment, I had started to spot a little bit. I remember being at church. I saw some blood. It wasn't really heavy or anything. And of course, when you talk to people, some people say, oh, that's normal, I did it. Some people say, I never bled. You look online, you get both of the opinions as well. So I thought, I have an appointment coming up. I'll just wait it out and see what the doctor says. That appointment happened to be November 14th. It was a Wednesday of 2012. Andrew came with me to the doctor's office, and we weren't seeing an actual doctor. I don't know what her title was, but she did the initial exam, and she did say that she saw a little bit more blood than she was comfortable with, so she was going to send us down to have an ultrasound. Now, normally they do your first appointment and then you schedule to come back for your ultrasound, but she sent us right down and just put in a request to have our ultrasound. We go in for our ultrasound, and it was my very first ultrasound, so I don't know what was normal or not normal, but they laid you down. She did the ultrasound, and in my gut I knew that there was just something wrong. And so when she finished, Andrew asked her, so did you see anything, what are the results? And she just said, what's typical is that the doctor would review it and he would call us back. So they sent us back out to the waiting room, and I just knew something was not right. But Andrew tried to keep a positive attitude for it, and so we just sat there and waited. So at this point, a different doctor had called us back, an actual OB doctor. He called us into the office and he said a couple of things. I don't exactly remember how the conversation went, but there were two main things he wanted us to know. One, they found no heartbeat, and at this point there should be a heartbeat. And two, we were pregnant with twins. Now, this was kind of devastating to Andrew because for some reason he really wanted twins, and like he talked all the time about us having twins and this pregnancy being a twin pregnancy. So the fact that it was, but it wasn't going to survive was really heartbreaking to him, and the whole thing was just heartbreaking to both of us. So at this point I should have been measuring around 8 weeks or so, but the babies had only been measuring 6 weeks and like 3 days at this point, and they said there definitely should be a heartbeat. He also had to tell us was the type of twins that we had happens in 1% of twin pregnancies. So the nickname for the twins that we had were called Momo twins. And so the type of twins that you have, and they were identical twins, first you have the normal twins that are most common in pregnancies where they split, they each have a different sac and a different placenta. Then the next set of twins that you have, where I think they're called mono twins, I think is their nickname, where they split and they have different sacs, but they usually will share the same placenta, and that's usually when you find that they're just concerned on the nutrition of one over the other because they're sharing the same supply source. Now the twins that we had are called Momo twins for short. They split later on in the pregnancy, within, I think it's like 9 days or something like that after they're conceived. They split, and what happens is that they share not only the same placenta, but they share the same sac. Now if they split even later, then that's when you get conjoined twins. So because they share the same sac and placenta, it is a very high mortality rate amongst Momo twins. It's about 50 to 60%. It's a very risky pregnancy, and it's hard. So usually what happens is as the babies tend to grow, because they're sharing the same sac, they're always together, they're hitting each other, and then the umbilical cords will get tangled up. If you Google pictures of like umbilical cords for Momo twins, they're these giant knots that come out. And it's very risky because it could start cutting off the supply source. Usually both twins can die during the pregnancy, or one can die during the pregnancy. And usually they try and deliver them around 34, 35 weeks. And at that point, the mom is hospitalized, usually around like week 30, if not earlier than that, on bed rest in the hospital to monitor the babies and make sure the movement is kind of kept down. So it's just a very risky and long pregnancy if they had survived the whole thing. The doctor explained to us the type of twins that we had, how rare it was. He showed us the ultrasound, he showed us both sacs, both babies, and kind of also talked through like the emotional side of how we would be feeling. He talked about, how I would feel, how Andrew would feel, and I think that's very rare to find in a doctor. Not only do they give us the stats of this is what is happening, but this is how you would feel emotionally. So our doctor gave us 3 options. He told us 1, we can take a medicine to help the process through. 2, we can just do surgery and have a D&C. They go in and take everything out. 3, I could just wait it out and let my body naturally do the miscarriage. So we picked option 3. I tried to go with a more natural route if I can handle it, and that's what we decided to do. I also think we decided to do it because we were just holding on to a little bit of hope that maybe the babies were just too small. If they are still alive, give them a couple weeks and we can hear a heartbeat. So that's what we did. Now it took my body 3 weeks to do anything regarding the miscarriage. We went through Thanksgiving like this, and we also had a roommate. We were renting out one of our rooms, and we would just come home every night and didn't really want to talk to anybody. So we would come home, we would go to our room, or we'd go out to eat, come home and sit in our room and just kind of, sometimes we would just talk about like what life would have looked like if we had twins. 2 of everything. It's our first pregnancy, and we would just kind of talk about it. And again, it was just very like a lull. I felt like everything was just on standstill until we figured out what was actually happening. So then December 5th, I think it was December 5th, it was a Wednesday, I woke up that morning and I just did not feel well. I had a little bit of pain, and I remember specifically Andrew saying to me, maybe you should stay home today. And I said, no, it's okay, I'm gonna go into work. So I went into work and I was pretty much in pain all day, and I found as the day went on, the pain got a little bit more worse. It was bearable, it was just really uncomfortable. Now we were in Christmas season, so when I got off of work, I decided I was gonna go Christmas shopping. Now, by the time that night came, I was in a lot more pain, and I ended up picking up dinner for me, Andrew, and our roommate, and I brought it home. I picked up Payway, and I brought it home, and I remember coming in the house, and I was in so much pain, I couldn't stand up. I was just kind of buckled over. I gave them their food, and I said, I'm gonna go upstairs, and I'm gonna lay down for a little bit. So I came into the room, I lay down, or actually I came into the room, and I went to use the restroom because I had this urge to go to the restroom. I went into the restroom. Now I'm gonna pause it here to say, this is when stuff it's sort of graphic. It's really not that graphic, but I'm going to go into detail of just some of the things that was going on. So if this isn't for you, you may not want to listen, or I'm just giving you a fair warning. So I went to the bathroom and I went potty. I'm in potty. Can you tell I have a potty trained a 2-year-old right now? So I went to the restroom, I went pee, and at that point something had fallen out. Now again, I didn't know about YouTube. At this point, no one really went into detail with me about their experience, so I had no clue what I was about to experience with a natural miscarriage. So when something had come out, I figured that was the miscarriage, that was the sac. And so at that point I thought I had gone through the miscarriage. Now as soon as that had fallen out, whatever it was, the pain got really bad and the bleeding was really, really bad. So I remember laying in bed and laying towels down. I was in a lot of pain. I was bleeding a lot, and I always had this urge to go to the bathroom. So I would lay down for a little bit. I'd be in pain. I have an urge to go to the restroom. I would go to the restroom, try and go to the restroom. Nothing would happen. I would lay down, and it went off and on like this for a good hour. And as the hour increased, as the hour went on, I was in more and more pain, and the pain was more intense, and the time frame of me not being in pain was getting smaller. At the time, I had no clue what that pain was or what I was experiencing. All I knew was it was very uncomfortable. I had urges to go to the bathroom. In between, the pain was smaller. I remember specifically looking at a clock saying, like, timing the pain, and I thought to myself, like, I assume this is kind of what contractions are like. So finally it was getting to about 10 o'clock. I again had the urge to go to the restroom. I went into the restroom, and I remember telling Andrew, like, if the pain continues like this, like, I think we need to go to the hospital. So I sat on the toilet. I tried to go to the restroom, and at that point, the sac had fallen out. And I knew then that was the sac. And I remember looking at it, and I knew since they shared a sac, I wasn't waiting for a second one since they were both in the same sac. As soon as the sac had come out, the pain stopped. I still had some bleeding, but the pain had went away. So then I knew, yes, I was in contractions, and my body, the urges to go to the restroom were actually my body urging to push. And I was, a couple emotions at the time. I was relieved that the pain was gone. I was in shock that my body had just gone through this mini labor process to deliver something that was just so tiny. And then I was sad because we had officially gone through it. Now, because we were in the prime of Christmas when all of this went down, I was trying to find a way to kind of just pay a remembrance to the babies. And so what I did is I went to Things Remembered. They do engravings. I bought like a silver ornament. I had 2 hearts inscribed on the front, and it said "Forever in Our Hearts." And then when you flipped the ornament over, I put a verse on there, and it's Psalms 139:13. Where'd you go? Yes, it says, "For you created my inmost being, you knitted me together in my mother's womb." I want us to remember that they were planned, they were given to us, and they were a gift, although the time with them was short and we never really got to hold them. So we put that on our Christmas tree every year, and since I had my daughter, I went to Things Remembered and got a similar ornament for her. It said "Baby's First Christmas," that we put on the tree, and then with my son, with his first Christmas coming up, we will do the same thing. So that all of our babies, we have a cute little ornament we can hang up, and then as the kids get older, I'm sure they're going to ask us about this, and we can kind of explain that they have 2 brothers or 2 sisters in heaven looking down on them. And one day we all will meet and be a whole family. Now this December will be 4 years since the miscarriage, and there are many times that go by that Andrew and I will reference them, we'll mention them, certain things will come up. Their due date was June 26th, which was my mom's birthday. And so there are just times throughout the years that we do make note of them, and that we do get sad. Like, as I'm talking about this, like, I am sad. I do hold back tears, but there's a couple of feelings that I have. One, I'm sad that I never got to hold them. I'll never see their personalities. I'll never get to raise them and be with them and hold them. But the second thing is I'm grateful that they never get to experience the hurt and the pain that comes with this world. That they were, as soon as they were given to me, they were quickly gone, and then they're in heaven with Jesus, and they get to look down on us, and they never get to experience the brokenness of the world, but they get to live in the power and the victory and the fullness and the greatness that is heaven. And that brings comfort to this whole situation. Now, we did wait a whole year to get pregnant again. I was at the time a tax accountant, so I have a busy season, which you all know about, so I did not want to be delivering in the middle of tax season or on maternity leave during the tax season. So the fact that they were due in June 26th was perfect. So we waited a whole year to get pregnant with my daughter Lily, and her due date was June 22nd. So she was just going to be a few days before what the twins' due date was. But if you know my story with my daughter, she was born 5 weeks early, so she was born May 18th, and that's just a whole nother NICU story I have with her. So that is it for my miscarriage story. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And I hope this maybe brings some encouragement to somebody. It brings some relief to somebody. It brings, I don't know. I don't know what this video could do for you. It brings some comfort to somebody. And me going through my miscarriage process as far as naturally, there's only one other person I have talked to who has gone through the same process. And so some people miscarry before they knew they were miscarrying, or they end up having the surgery or taking medicine. But I haven't really ran into anyone who knew they were having a miscarriage, waited it out, and went through a mini labor process with that. So this may relate in that whole story with somebody, with one of you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I put out videos every week, and I just put out videos about my life and my family, and I would love for you to join us. So I will go ahead and see you guys in my next video. Bye.